Ladies and gentlemen, welcome uh, back to the Cross Commission 2026 Saturday College Lacrosse Power Hour. Quarterfinal Saturday is in the books from Hofstra. We have half of our quarterfinal field set from the ACC, as it turns out. Lot to talk about. We've got Final Four teams. We've got turf catastrophes. We've got injuries. We've got it all. Maybe we'll even have appearance from one of Long Island's most famous. Safe. How we feeling?
Yeah, Jake. Disappointed a little bit, just in the Jays. Entertaining enough game. Cuse, North Carolina had a little bit more, theater to it. Notre Dame was great the first half, but the second half kind of got a little bit loose on the Jays. But yeah, it's always a fun weekend. So looking forward obviously for the next two games tomorrow. I'm just can't decide if I'm going full Warren or just keeping all my chips with Princeton. But yeah, just kind of a fun, at least in the DM threads for good first half of the Hopkins game. I definitely had a bunch of I was loving how the game was playing out. Not so much the second half, but that's life. But yeah, Chiefs very happy for Ryan to get them his boys return Chris as well. This is a team that had a lot of expectations coming into this season, and making at least two trips to the Final Four. I'm sure a lot of Cuse alums would say this job's not done. But making it back to Memorial Day weekend, it's definitely was one of the boxes, and good to see for Syracuse it checks it off. Obviously, we're going to get into North Carolina's unfortunate end for their fans, but yeah, decent enough games. The controversy about the turf is going to be kind of fun to talk about. But yeah, a little bit more drama I would like to in the first game, or just a closer ending. But yeah. Can't complain. It was a beautiful day. So at least we got everything but the turf. It would have been great today. In terms of facilities and the atmosphere. Probably like 10K. I think 9,000 tickets were sold. So probably
10,244.
So yeah, nice. You were tracking this, so we'll talk about where that fell under, but fell in the hierarchy. But yeah, like I said, for the sport, yeah, good, glamour teams, and one of the Irish having one of the more new money growing fan base. So getting them to another Final Four, I'm sure the Irish are ecstatic. My dark horse pick, so I can't be totally disappointed. And Hopkins losing. So, but yeah, like I said, fun. The DMs between us. Looking forward for the show, and we got two more games tomorrow.
I think it's a good way of putting it. I'm trying to tweet out that we're live on Twitter, but it appears that Twitter is, I don't know, glitching. Not sure. Okay, keeps telling me I can't send posts. All right, well, there you go. Yeah, the first game, great first half. Thought it was unfolding really nicely. I think Notre Dame would have wound up pulling away either way. In the end, they were the better team. Their depth really shined through. Josh Yago played the best game of his career. He was fantastic, which is a real positive sign for Notre Dame if they're going to win two games next weekend. I thought the officiating was poor. I thought the officiating was frankly pretty terrible in both games. To be honest with you, just a lot of strange calls. Not at any particular moment. It just felt whistle happy in some spots, and then also completely resistant in other spots. Didn't think they allowed either game to maybe get the flow that it should have had. The turf obviously was a complete disaster, which we'll talk about, and created Quint was on it. I mean, it created a playing surface that was just quite simply inexcusable for a games of these magnitude. It was just, it was awful. So in Cuse, Carolina, I think you nailed it as well. I guess we'll start there. Kind of simmered Good evening to everyone who's joining us. Gil, Morebone, Feely Stick. Smash the like button if you're here. Subscribe if you're here and you aren't already. Cuse Carolina, it simmered and it simmered and it simmered and it like threatened to explode, and it kind of did in that late in that fourth quarter. Dewan makes the Dewan play really was like the encapsulation of the entire game. I'm not sure why he goes up the sideline when two guys are chasing him down. He steps out of bounds.
That's it, clearly.
Which we tweeted it out. I have the picture. Right here, I can share my screen. Even if you want to say like, I don't know, deceptive camera angle, however you want to put it. Nonetheless, you have to challenge it. There you go. That's his foot, and you can't quite see it from here. But if you go to work and you blow it up, there's his foot almost looks like it's, if you see the white line, I mean he's covering the white line. It almost looks like he's on the other green.
Like when you zoom out, like zoom it all in, like full screen it. Shout out to James Hogan for I'm playing off his video, but I was about to try to screenshot and be like, but, "Come on, yes,
here you go."
Oh my God.
He's totally on the line. I honestly think he's probably touching green here, like he's touching past the, his foot's his toes. I think are on the other side of the white line. Nonetheless, incredible play to dive out, full send, gets it to Bowen, gets it to Spalina. Spalina scores 2 goals right at the end. And that wins the game for Houston. Yeah, it was a bad decision. It was an incredible play, poorly officiated. To throw onto this, because I think this will be a topic, it was a confusing decision. It was a confusing decision by Joe Bresci, which I'll be honest, I've got a lot of confusing decisions by Joe Bresci written down that I think we maybe could talk about. So yeah, that was the whole game in there. Credit to Cuse. Everything. This was the entire Cuse experience in one game. Did they have too many bad penalties? Yes. Did they turn it over too much? Yes. They had 17, 18 turnovers for the game. Did they make bad plays at inopportune times? Yes. Nonetheless, their seniors were clearly the difference in that fourth quarter. They looked like the more in the first half. I'll be curious to see what you think about this. In the first half, it felt like they were playing very nervous. It felt like they were very wound up, and it felt like Carolina was playing super loose. And Carolina kind of seemed to embrace the kind of house money, the Owen Duffy injury. Nobody, Bresci. They mentioned that Bresci told them before, nobody expects us to win. Everybody expects Cuse to get to the Final Four. It seemed like they embraced that, and then once it got to the fourth quarter, it seemed to kind of hit that Cuse is a pretty old team, and Carolina's still in some spots a pretty young team. And look, we talked about it. Cuse had to win this. Cuse had to win this game. They just had to. They had to. And Dewan made a big play. Spalina scored several goals. Finn Thompson scored a goal. McCool made some big stops. And in the end, Cuse seniors, they made the difference and they got the win, 13-11. Cuse is back in the Final Four for consecutive years for the first time since 2008 and 2009. It's their 28th, or hang on. Let me actually get the exact number. It's their third all-time. They remain third all-time in Final Four, total Final Four appearances. It is Syracuse's 28th. 28th Final Four appearance. So the all-time chart now stands Maryland 30, Hopkins 29, Cuse 28, Virginia 26. So Cuse, they had to have it. They have it. Their first win over a top 5 team all season comes outdoors. Neutral site, though it was definitely a Cuse heavy crowd at Hofstra. And they are on to the Final Four, this time looking to go one step further at least in their quest for a national championship.
Yeah, it was almost like a compromise for Cuse. The struggles on away games on natural grass, so away game outdoors, but a turf. That may be the worst turf I've ever seen in a game play. But I thought Cuse was potentially allowing them to maybe get back into the game and maybe like sneak away, but gotta give credit to McCool. I don't know if say it's Mahat, but like one thing about Carolina, when they get desperate, like they do, the aggression level, the ride. Like I thought that was going to be maybe Syracuse's undoing, because there was definitely times where it was like, oh, all right, Cuse has got not in the bag, but like got control, and then up 3, and then like North Carolina was able to strike, and it's always like within distance. Like the whole thing with Dwan, like was definitely a game changer and momentum. But it was happening like throughout the second half. Like Syracuse got to the edge, but like never like fully like juiced out. Even the penalty, kind of the slash thing, like that would have been first 2 years of this senior run. That would have been the trigger of like a potential meltdown. And they were just able to like right the ship, keep their composure. McCool, like I think, like was just a steadying force there. Yeah. Spallina, clutch plays. Not that that's something foreign to him, but like it was best case scenario for like much better than what they had to do last year. You know what I mean? Like both of those Princeton and Harvard games is just like kind of just like hurtling down the mountain, just hoping like the wagon doesn't fall apart. It's like on fire, like you're being chased by the bandits. You're just like trying to like get all the way down there. And like here, like it was much more of a composed, like mature, experienced team that took like a rabid animal. Because like that was one thing I really, like I said about like North Carolina, like maybe they don't do as much with the talent. Maybe you got questions, but like their time, especially with the ride, is definitely really aggressive. Like, and kind of could cause some problems. And they, Syracuse was able to absorb that, not lose control, not lose like their composure, and finish the drill. What they say, like run through the line. And I think that was the difference in this game. And like I said, McCool like some big saves at the end. Mullen I thought was doing pretty good on Wambach early on, and then Wambach kind of had his moment, but like it just kind of keeping him at bay. That was my one thing. I was like, yeah, Bowen Duffy's like iffy, like maybe this is kind of be not Cuse in a walk, but like more comfortable. I was like, oh, maybe Brady does Brady things and kind of keeps him close.
Yeah,
it wasn't that.
This was a game where the Madeline 1000 rule like was 100% the case for Cuse. If they got to 1000, they were probably going to win. And Mullen was of shade over 50. He went 14 of 23, so that's 51, 52. And then McCool saved 12 out of 11. So there you go. Wasn't a blot over, but it was enough. They pretty much needed 50-50, and they got it. It was weird. It's fascinating. I'm not sure if the face-off has ever felt less relevant than it does right now. Like Wambach is huge for Carolina, but I don't know. I watched games this year, and it feels like in this tournament alone, in the first half, Syracuse dominated the faceoffs, and they were down. At one point, they had won all but one faceoff, and they were down 4 goals. I go back to the Hopkins-Cornell game last week, where Hopkins is just kind of like wiped out on faceoffs in the first half, and they were in the game. And then, of course, they turned around. There's moments where the faceoff has felt like hugely consequential. I think it was hugely consequential when there wasn't a shot clock to a degree, because it allowed teams, to this is true. Yeah, Mullen did get them two big goals. I mean, he had 2 of their 3 goals at one point.
Right off, and then
So I think we don't have Long Island's finest, but we have another
ladies and gentlemen.
There he is.
Boys and girls.
Chris.
Your Syracuse Orange are back.
Woo! You love to see it. Love to see it, Chris.
So back mentioning congratulations, Chris. The Richmond game, I feel like, is an example both ways, because it's like Richmond lost like all the faceoffs and still should have won the game. So I don't know. I think Gil makes a good point. Timely faceoffs feel much more important now. I just think there's not Wambach is the closest thing to like an elite face-off guy there is. Everybody else I think they're all very good now. And it also used to be, it had this. It's also that as the face-off has gotten, we're now like, say if we're at like big face-off basically. There's like everybody goes to a camp. There's all this technology. It's been like mass industrialized.
Oh yeah.
And it's like they're all good now. It used to be teams would just like throw guys out there. And it was like, yeah, we don't really know about this guy, but we're gonna give it a shot. Aside from Harvard, no good team really has like a massive face-off deficiency. Whereas it used to be, Cuse is a good example of this when they made the final, the one they lost to Duke in 2013. I mean, they were winning like 39% of the face-off.
I mean, I feel like John Desko completely like wanted to ban the face-off, and then,
oh my god,
he
yeah.
we were at the precipice of a revolution in this game. With John Desko was like, "What are we doing here? We got the punter, the most important player." I was like, "All right, John."
It was incredible. It was incredible because it was the long arc. It was like they had Danny Brennan. It was like the face-off is awesome, and then they had they didn't, and it was like the face-off's terrible. Then they got Ben Williams, and it's like the face-off's great again.
It's fine. It's fine. It's part of the game. I love the change.
Yeah, it's strange. It's the face-off. I do think this was a good example of it. It just doesn't feel to have as much of an outsized impact as it did a couple of years ago. But yeah, Mullen scored 2 big goals. And again, Cuse got what they needed in that regard. If you look at Carolina on the mean side, the thing for Carolina that is tricky is that they won 13 of 27 face-offs, which is obviously well below what they're used to, what their norm is. They only got 7 out of 20 saves, which is not good. That's quick math says 7 divided by 20 is 35%. We'll talk about the goalie thing in a minute here. So 35% there and 47% on the face-off. That's 83. So definitely well below the 1,000 mark. But even despite that save, to your point, Cuse failed 6 clears. Carolina wound up taking 8 more shots. So they still wound up getting the opportunities, and they did begin at different points to tilt the field. Nowhere to the degree that they nowhere to the usual standard that they have, where we talked about it in some games they were winning. They were literally like plus 10, plus 11, plus 12 possessions. But I think in the
very sloppy game in general, like especially from Cuse, like I feel like you guys already touched on it. The fact that Syracuse had 19 turnovers.
Yeah.
It's either these teams are butt cheeks or I think the balls were greasers. I think the balls were greasers and maybe a little bit of butt cheeks. But, I mean, the field was bad too.
I was getting vibes like of Carolina Rutgers, like 2021, just like the relentlessness of like Carolina. I was like, that's why I was like thinking maybe Cuse would let it go. But yeah, it did. It was a bad like conditions or the ball. Yeah, Chris, you making a good point though. But the field, absolutely, like just. There was no way. It was unreliable. You know what I mean? You weren't confident on the like being able to stop. I felt like at all for any of these guys.
Like, why are we putting down new turf at this point? Like, what was the deal?
Wait, could you not wait till Monday? That's not
yeah. Like, oh, we want like for a quarterfinal, like you're gonna put down new turf, and then like what are we doing here? Like, I hope someone says like the turf was absolutely bad, and like outside of like Kevin Corrigan saying it. Because I know Kevin Corrigan has said it anyways, but I hope someone says it.
He said on live TV. He was like, "What's going on here? This feels horrible." I was like, "All right."
It was terrible.
Stony Brook would never.
It was bad.
East Hartford would never. True East Hartford would never do that.
Hartford has never been tried. Yeah, for sure. It was a slot. There were 34 combined turnovers. I think it gets to Mark's point, which is very true. Is like. The positive end of a wide open season is anybody can win. The negative end is that it usually means teams aren't as good. There's like that's just kind of how it goes. Cuse was Cuse. Like this, Cuse is going to be Cuse. They were going to live and die kind of by who they are, and in the end, they had enough. There was the ledger balanced out positively in the end. It's still 19 turnovers is a lot. 11 total penalties combined between both. So 11 total penalties combined. 34 combined turnovers.
Probably a
Can
lot
we go
less.
on the penalty thing? That goes back to your point. It was uneven because there was like some points where it felt like they're just letting the boys play, and then it was like a couple of kind of quick.
Well, the beginning of the game is the best example. Matten drives his head into he gave Chuck Kaczynski the thing Chuck Kaczynski gives everybody else. He lowered his helmet into his head, and they called a push. Like, he didn't push him, but he did hit him in the head. Direct contact, should have been at least a minute, but they called a push, and it was like, okay, and that was kind of a sort of set the tone for the game. And then Cuse took like multiple penalties in their own defensive zone. Splina took that bad slash in the fourth quarter, and again, like, look, he made up for it. He scored 2 goals, but like, it's like that's the
very
thing.
excruciating for Syracuse. Like, just watch, and also being a part of the program for 4 years, like, I know how excruciating it can be because we went like 10 straight 1-goal games in 2017, and it probably took off at least 4 or 5 years of my life. At least this wasn't a 1-goal game for once; it was a 2-goal game. But the fact that, like, man, we can't make it easy at times. Like, come on, just some of these boneheaded, like, shooting yourself in the foot, Blaxico Burris style. Like, come on.
That's who they are at this point. It's like, it ain't changing now.
No.
But it was enough. I thought Cuse's defensive midfield was the best game I've seen Cuse's defensive midfield play in years. Tyler McCarthy, he was on the field like every single possession. Like every possession he was out there, he was phenomenal. Hoddle had a couple. The Hoddle ground ball scoop after the penalty kill to start the third quarter. That was he scoops it up off the turf, got it to Spleen on the wing, and that got Cuse tied. That was huge. There were several of those types of plays.
Have we discussed the Billy Dwan sick play yet?
A little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, please. We want
So Matt Kinnear, I guess he's in the press conferences. Shout out Hofstra for not having any press conference feed available. Good job by them. It's only broken ever. Bresci was told by officials this play was not reviewable, hence no challenge flag from him.
Okay.
I also don't know like how you could overturn it. Like, it looks like there it is, but unless there's like another angle, like there could be green. But
there's no green showing on. I mean, we'll show it again, but
yeah,
the one we showed, like,
I also
I don't know
like,
how that's not reviewable.
Unless you can't review like if a player was out of bounds or not with possession or something like that. But I think this was also like the refs with like their makeup call from the first quarter when it was obviously not a shot clock reset in the first quarter that UNC got because it hit the side of the net. That is just my wholehearted opinion, non-biased whatsoever.
Yeah, he's all on the chalk.
Yeah, that's the angle I'm seeing, but I'm like, he probably is, but man,
yeah,
I wish there's another angle of that too.
I don't know. Not being able to challenge it is. I mean, you can challenge a shot clock reset, but you can't challenge whether guys out of bounds or not, not out of bounds. It's just yet another example of how replay has been, let's say, poorly implemented or inconsistently implemented. Yeah, that's maybe the more apt way to put it, I guess you could say. And
it should be more like accessible, available, like as we go into the tournament. You know what I mean? Like that. But that should just be like standard.
I've had this issue since it first was implemented. Because if you're doing it at every school, like I can understand, like, hey, like first rounds and NCAA tournament, you can do it and you have more angles. But if you're doing it at like in Mercer or St. Joe's or like these smaller schools that obviously don't have like 4 or 5 cameras, they only have 1 camera, and you're like, hey, I think we should challenge this for if the foot was in the crease, and the camera you're using is like someone's camcorder, like
they use iPads.
They use iPad. Like you can't. How can you tell that's in the crease or not?
Also, you can challenge in the crease, feet on the line, but you can't challenge feet on the line on the sideline. To me, it was to me. This is why I suggested what replay should be from the start was just all you needed for was goals. That was it. Goals. Is it basically you needed a camera in the net. Is his foot on the line in the crease, or does the ball go in the? We didn't need replay for like, here's a shot. Here's whether the goalie in at the 3rd minute mark of the first quarter. We're going to review to see whether Jimmy McCool got a piece of, and I know that they're going to mention, like they kind of mentioned on the broadcast, they're like, every play matters. Sure, there's 1,000 plays in a game. Like a lot of stuff happens. In this case, it was a 2-goal game. It was obviously a huge goal, no question.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't. If you're going to have it, then a play like that, it should be. They basically use the. So this is the thing.
I think
they're never clear on what happened.
I believe from what I know, like I think they have access to all. Well, who knows? Because Booker Corrigan was famously once playing as a video judge. Obviously, not the case.
Remember that?
But I think what they do is they have access to all the cameras that are readily available, and I believe most, like in this case, it would be all the broadcast angles. They have all of them available. They can pick and choose which ones, and then go from there. I will say the fact that those 2 shot clock reset challenges took longer than like 60 seconds feels really, really weird. Like they should have been quick and easy, like 30 seconds max, maybe, or 45, unless like the Hofstra Wi-Fi is bad, which might be a thing.
It is. I mean, Ryan
maybe it was a bad thing. So,
and then then there's this one, the one where Penn State, where Dixon is like, you're looking at this, they're looking at the same feed we are, and then they're like, actually, it's no goal. It's like, I don't know how that's possible, because the feed we're seeing is clearly a goal. And then he had to come back next week and be like, actually, they're not using the same feed we're using. It's like, okay, well then, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
So, yeah, huge. In the end, Cuse's experience won out. They were a little better in the special. They had the Carolina. This has been the story for Carolina all year. They have to win the specialty battles, and usually Wambach himself has been good. When Wambach's winning 70%, you can get to 1,000 or more, even if your goalie's at 30. In this case, Wambach was human, even if he did get going in the second half. And the goalie thing for Carolina kind of came home to roost. And I guess this is where we get into the Carolina end of this. All right, I'm going to count down every decision by Joe Bresci that I find to be peculiar, not sure of, and y'all stop me if you think I'm doing too much. Number 1, I don't really understand what the game plan was with Owen Duffy. He came out the first quarter, and he had his hamstring is taped up to he's got like 6 rolls of tape on there.
He couldn't even move in that fourth quarter. Like he was trying to chase a Cuse player, and it was like, oh, he looks immovable. Like
from the beginning, he clearly was not a real threat to Dodge. That was obvious in the first quarter.
No.
The first quarter, Cuse, the most offense Carolina got in the first quarter was when they were sliding to Duffy for some unknown reason and kind of creating offense. Duffy goes out, and it felt like the offense got moving. And this is I'll phrase with this. UNC is not better without Owen Duffy. We saw that in the end of the game, because it's like they didn't have anybody else who could really pass. Once Cuse started sliding, Cuse figured them out defensively. They scored 2 goals towards the end of the game. Is Carolina better without a 50% version of Owen Duffy?
I thought Owen Duffy injured was better than whatever else they had.
I don't think it was, because I think the best offense they played was when he was on the bench in that second quarter, and it was just go, blitz to the cage.
Figure out how to shut down UNC's offense without Duffy.
I think they did. I think they would have. I think Cuse figured it out in the second half eventually. Anyway, I think Cuse would have won the game. But this is my point, Gil. It's like, if he's gonna play, he's got to play. Yep. Like if you want him out there, he's got to be out there. to me, this is kind of reminiscent of the Dylan Malloy thing.
Malloy would never,
when Brown played Maryland, it was like Malloy did get Brown like a big goal or two, but Brown was playing great offense without him that day. And it was like, if you're going to play, you got to play. Because eventually it gets to like where they're yo-yoing him back and forth. And it's like, he's out of the game. And then we're like, all right, we're going to put him in the game. We're going to put him in the game for man up only sometimes. Then it gets to the fourth quarter and they're like, all right, screw it. We're just going to put him on. Kark, I think, made a great point. By putting him in, they were putting Anthony Rayo on the bench, who was like their best option throughout the game. To me, it's like, how do you get a rhythm offensively when sometimes he's out, sometimes he's in? I don't think, I don't know. And this is a great point by Gil. The ride, he's not a factor on the ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Carolina was really causing Cuse problems on the ride, particularly when he wasn't in there. It's like, again, I think, Save, I think you're where you're going to go. To me, it's, if he's going to play, you play him the whole way and you figure out how to make it work. If not, then you just decide, you know what? Again, 100% Owen Duffy is, I'm not saying UNC wins this game, but they're a better team when he's at 100%.
How was Cuse on the ride today? Because I'm trying to find it because obviously the the box scores weren't available yet.
They were okay.
It's Carolina, like the Final Four, like
I got it. I can put it
do the NCAA.com like Mickey Mouse, like very basic stats. I'm doing that right now.
Watch the game if you want to know. You know?
17 of 23. Jesus. So they had 6.
Yeah, Cuse failed 6 clears.
Yeesh.
I can't post. The worst thing with the NCAA thing is that it doesn't let me post a link. I was trying to post a link in the private chat. It just doesn't let me post a hyperlink. So awesome. Yeah. So that's. So I think we agree on that.
Yeah, that was a big one, and I agree with about the consistency. At least you'll know what to do. Like either he's going to be in there, we're going to die with Duffy at 50%, or like, hey, Owen, we're going to see him for Virginia if we make it that. We're going to not play you today because you're. But yeah, it's limiting, and then not just offensively, but just what you want to do on defense. Like until he kind of wasn't in there, you can't really implement the in. Yeah, unfortunate, but yeah, totally fair. I'll allow that. Absolutely, I think Chris will say it first.
All right. Yeah. Point number 2, the goalie situation. Kent Good had not started a single game his entire career at North Carolina until last week. He's been there for 4 years. He also, by the way, has been there for 4 years and has been pretty clearly he hasn't redshirted. This was his last game of his career. So this is the last game of his career. It was the first game he had started was last week, ahead of Josh Marcus in net. He played really well last week. We talked about it. What were you going to take from Carolina beating an Albany team that played a really, really, really poor game? Josh Marcus has been, we've mentioned him on this show a lot all year. Not trying to single him out, but it was just like, it was the one, at times it was like the one real question with UNC was like, this is where they're pretty weak. And, for the season in adjusted save percentage, they were 21st. In just raw unadjusted save percentage, they were 47th. It was, the one weakness there. Marcus had been up and down. He was particularly rough towards the end. They mentioned his last 4 games, he was at 35%. To be fair, though, Kark mentioned the show, he did play really well against Cuse in both games.
I was just going to say that.
In both of those games. Here's my thing with this. He was your goalie all year. You trusted him all year. You lived and died with him through all of the freshman pains. When he didn't play well, they didn't move him to the bench. They stuck with him. He had a bad game. They brought him back. He really struggled towards the end of the regular season. That Virginia game is a good instance, a good example of it. But then he came back and played well against Cuse. He obviously played poorly against Virginia in that ACC championship. You kind of know what you have with Kent Good, considering, again, he's been in your program for 4 years, and he's been the backup for 4 years. And he wasn't good here. Cuse had a stretch of 20 minutes. There was a stretch of 20 minutes where he made 1 save. In the end, he finished with 7 saves out of, 7 of 20. Not great. It felt like at one point you maybe could be like, can we go back to Marcus? I don't know how you could have. You told the kid before the NCAA tournament you didn't think he was good enough to start for you. And I just don't I don't know. I don't see it. It was weird to me. I think if you're going to stick with this kid the whole way, you let him play the tournament and you see what happens. And it's just, it was, I don't see why you make the move for a guy who didn't have a proven track record. If you kind of knew what you had, maybe. It felt desperate to me. And I'm not saying if Marcus is in this game that they win this game. Again, I think in the end, Cuse was the better team. And that's why they won. But it was just very, I don't know. It felt desperate and chasing it. And
I'm curious.
I don't get that.
You could have kept him in, and Albany could have been a get-right game for Marcus to be like, all right, Albany's not Syracuse or North Carolina or Virginia or Notre Dame or whoever, ACC team. Get-right game against Albany, find your confidence, get your confidence back, and you get to Syracuse, and you play well in it, hopefully, and then you just go from there. Like, going to Kent Good, who was more like Bood, I don't know. Like, it proved out well for the first game because it was Albany, but like, did it really prove you anything against Albany? No. Like, Dom Petromao scored 10 goals. I was honestly hoping that he would, because why not get the 10? Because you're not going to do it next week.
It's like the rally. It's like the rally killing home run.
It was like 7-1 or 7-8, 9-1 after like the first quarter of that game, and it's like, this game's done. We'll see you at 2:30. Like, it really was like more of like a scrimmage kind of for them. It's like, keep warm, make sure everything's clicking, blah, blah, blah. Just don't get hurt and don't fuck up and don't do anything stupid, which they didn't do. I can't, like, and I'm surprised, well, actually, maybe not surprised, that no one has asked Bresci why he has gone with Good, because I can't find it anywhere in the interwebs, because someone's got to ask it. And if someone, like, people that work in the lacrosse media that are able to talk to Bresci, they should be asking those questions, unless they care about relationships.
I think he probably was. It's just, it's as you said,
well, that's like a big thing. It's like, if like someone,
I imagine,
whoever is like ask, like, have a chance to like ask him these questions. I got to see an answer. Like, what are we doing?
No, I definitely think it was that. It's just, we need said before Albany was to take the pressure off the freshman. For what?
Like, for what pressure?
He didn't play. What does that mean? You took the pressure off him? You didn't play him. Like, you never played. And this is a different thing, but it's like, you now have to go back to him next year, and Good is leaving. And it's like, some goalies can handle that. Some goalies can't. We'll find out what type of goalie he is, but yeah, I don't get it. Save Petro hasn't had a good goalie since like the
just
first Pierce Bassett, the first Obama administration. Pierce Bassett.
Oh my God! Yeah.
But been like 3 different spots. Hasn't had a good goalie in forever.
Yeah, it was a tough call. I mean, our boy Marcus did give up 51 goals in 4 games. Only had 28 saves. Okay, that's not all.
No, it wasn't great. It was there's no question.
It's almost like, besides that, how was the theater of Mrs. Lincoln? Taking out the 25 goals that he gave up to those 2 Virginia games, like, it's not as horrible. And given what he did for the first 2/3 of the season, I thought, he earned a little bit of goodwill to like put him back in. Of course, I love Jared Poyet. I was like, hey, let him start this whole second half of Albany.
Start him the game. Like, not the second half. Give him the game.
No, I hear you. Yeah, definitely. I could understand why Bresci maybe felt the need to change, but yeah, it felt like if you wanted to change, maybe give him like a rest at the Virginia game and see how good does there, and then bring Marcus back for the Albany game, because you didn't. It's not like you needed the ACC tournament win to like solidify your spot in the NCAA tournament. But yeah, that's your last point, Dig, about like not ruining him, but like. They had a great look, to come back next year with the kid. Like, we didn't believe you at the end, but you're our man going into the 2027 season. So, kind of gives like the rest of the whole world. There he is.
Long Island.
That's right, from Long Island. Somebody say. kitchen is so hard to clean. If only there was an easier way.
This sink is filthy.
All right, I'm stopping it.
MIA. I think she's canceled.
It's good thing enough.
All
All right, before we let Ryan's thoughts accuse, the
Ryan,
challenge thing.
Ryan, Chris Stremski, TNT Sports. Was the attendance today affected by the Long Island Railroad strike?
Yes, because Adam wasn't able to be there. Otherwise, Hofstra's not far.
Dozens and dozens of Hopkins fans couldn't come because of this strike.
They tried to box them out there.
Hofstra University's, I mean, it might have affected it with, like city alums of the schools, but Hofstra is a little bit of a hike from the Hempstead train station anyway, so it's not the biggest thing. Plus, lacrosse fans are generally going to be car-minded, but...
And just a quick follow-up, was the best part about Hempstead leaving?
My God.
Maybe with that turf, maybe.
That turf. The only thing
was
worse
there we want to hear on the ground comments about the turf, right?
The only thing worse than that turf was the internet connection. Couldn't even send a text out there.
That might have had something to do with the replay. Was the internet like it was just giving them a spinning wheel? All right, let me get done with
the turf, the internet, or the new Hofstra logo. They're all bad.
They're all bad. I think the internet might have been the worst case.
I'm gonna start the internet. I'm gonna bench Hofstra's new logo. And I'm gonna cut the turf. The whole argument for the turf, like Terry tweeted out, like they apparently went with a more slippery turf to reduce the chance of injury, and then a guy literally slipped on the turf and broke his wrist.
I know it's not the New York Times, but from Bro Bible, but an article already up. Yeah, exactly right, Jake. Hofstra, they're like, playing surface ruins NCAA tournament. Hofstra installed new turf amid ACL concerns. So this was, kind of a decision that was kind of took people by surprise. Big thing about it, not only is the new playing surface, is a new technology. Hofstra's new turf does not include infill. Infill is a small material, typically small rubber pellets and/or sand that is spread between the plastic blades of fake grass. It's used to help cushion the field and help keep the turf stable. One thing I just have to throw this here, Jake, because you made this about like how it could potentially sour the relationship between Hofstra and NCAA. The playing surface was just a big issue during the Syracuse and UNC game. Players were sliding all over the place.
It was really bad.
Ironically enough, the NCAA selected Scott Stadium in Charlottesville over Rensselaer Field in Hartford for the 2026 Final Four and NCAA Championship, in large part because of the playing surface. It is clearly neglected to consider the brand new turf field at Hofstra, or ran out of time to make a change.
So that, I think, explains why Hofstra had all those random home games at Farmingdale State early in the year. I guess they were finishing up installing the turf.
Awesome. We installed a turf a month before the biggest games of the season, because Hofstra doesn't play any important games. And it was terrible for the state championship games. There was the Chaminade St. Anthony's game. Guys were just slipping everywhere. It's just a disaster.
Well, here's the thing with Mark's point: which quarterfinal ready stadiums have grass? There's only, I think, if I'm not wrong, Duke, UVA, and UNC are the only three schools with grass.
That's the only three with grass.
They're the only teams that play with grass. Look, it's not the problem. Is not turf. The problem is installing a new turf a month before the quarterfinal.
Yeah.
On that point, the new turf is designed to play more natural grass and to reduce the strain on the body, especially the knees. Artificial turf with infill is associated with much higher ACL injury rates than both natural grass or artificial turf without infill. However, here's the thing. A new turf field typically takes 6 to 12 months to settle. Hofstra completed its construction less than 2 months ago. This is a brand new field.
What a terrible.
So no,
Browns
has
Browns football stadium is grass.
Yes,
they have done those for quarters, but Stevenson, Princey, whatever the hell they call it, field is turf. So that's like the weird one.
This is there's a reason why the 3 teams that have turf are grass. Pardon me. The 3 teams that have grass are in North Carolina and Virginia. It's grass. If you look, turf is fine. There's not. We watch games on turf all the time. It's okay. The problem is installing new turf a month before the games and then doing a new form of turf that
has never been tested before.
Maybe it works in the long run potentially, but clearly it didn't. Wasn't going to. I saw players tweeting about it on the timeline. The whole thing. It takes like to really get used to a new field surface. It takes a long period of time. You have to play on it a lot. And now there's not going to be any games on there. I mean, there'll be PLL games, but like I think one weekend maybe.
I think the Long Island Championships are the Long Island tournament, at least the Nassau County tournament. Everything from the quarterfinals onwards played.
That already happened. That already happened. It was this week. I'm pretty sure the Long Island Championships were this week.
If it was Chaminade, it was the Catholic school championships,
okay, right.
And the public schools they play quarterfinals onward in Nassau County. So they'll have at least another 7 games of that. But even still, that's going to be.
Someone's gonna break their hip.
Wait until.
It's old school. It's like old school AstroTurf.
So wait until some commit from Garden City gets hurt during the public school championships or Manhasset in the next couple weeks.
Oh my God!
The lawsuits, if it comes out of a Manhasset or Garden City kid tearing his ACL on it.
All right.
You know who my dad is?
So
that's exactly Garden City and Manhasset. Yes.
The goalie situation is strange. The Duffy thing was very weird. UNC last year played their best game of the season against Duke on April 1st, I believe. Let me go back and check just to be sure. April 12th. They beat Duke 8-7. Bresci was like fist pumping. It was like this amazing moment. For the Tar Heels. After that, they went 1-3 to finish the season, and they lost in the first round of the tournament to Richmond. This year, Bresci got the contract extension a few days before the Syracuse game. They beat Syracuse 14-9, and then they finished the season like this: loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. In both cases, and in all 3 of his seasons at UNC, Owen Duffy has ended the year hurt to some degree, seriously hurt in 2 of those 3 seasons. So I guess to Wheels
at Virginia.
So I guess to Wheels' point, did Joe Bresci's coaching cost UNC a Final Four? Maybe. Worth. I think both these teams,
the decision making and goal is on him, is on Bresci. Like that is like, I think that's like the biggest thing you look at when if you're like a UNC fan. It's like you had this guy. I get he's struggling, but like if he's able to ride out this rookie wall, and again the Albany, great opportunity for him to get right, and then get the Syracuse, and he played well against Cuse both times. He could have helped you there potentially. Maybe you get a goal or 2 back. You maybe win. And obviously it's hypotheticals right now, but I think that decision, for some reason, to go to a guy who has never started in his career as a 4-year backup is mind-boggling.
Yep. I think the coaching for neither of these teams is particularly necessarily the strong point. But in UNC's case,
we're now talking about 2-time Final Four finalist Gary Gate.
Also 2-time Final Four finalist Joe Bresci. I think if
Gary Gate has made more Final Fours than Milliman and Madeline as of right now. That's subject to change tomorrow combined.
Is that Pete Milliman's like the most maligned coach in the country? I'm not sure what I'm not sure what the point of that is. But nonetheless, also it's like Cuse fans will get you'll want to fire him next week when you lose to Notre Dame by 6.
Yes, I'm half joking with Gary Gate right now. I'm not exactly. He's on the same. He's in.
Bresci gets like,
it's like Trevor Cooney, the only Syracuse men's basketball player to make 2 Final Fours. I still can't
Bresci-
stand the shots he's making.
That's
Bresci-
Or attempting.
Bresci's on like the rolling 3-year contracts. Gates on like a weekly contract. It's like gets re-upped like this. But no, yes, back-to-back Final Fours for Cuse. First time they've done that in 17 years. This senior class staves off the disappointment, I guess you could say. Like we talked about that if they had lost. 2 Final Fours is a pretty back-to-back Final Fours is a big deal. The only programs to do that this decade are Maryland,
Notre Dame,
Maryland, Virginia, Notre Dame, and that's it. So that's a pretty big deal for Cuse. Carolina, everybody will be back next year. I do think the Duffy thing is like a serious. He hasn't stayed healthy through a full season for 3 years, and now you have the goalie thing linked over it too. Look, UNC will be they'll be ranked. They might be ranked preseason number 1 next year. They bring everybody back. Next year will be a huge season for them. They'll be in the position Cuse is in now, kind of, with Final Four expectations needing to do that. So they'll be fine, but definitely a weird end to their season. Ryan, anything on Cuse you want to add?
This is a weird game. I think.
Yes.
Yeah, just weird game. But look, I think credit to Cuse that fourth quarter. They stepped up when they needed to. And got the victory out of it.
It sucks that Penn State should have been playing one of these 2 teams. Like we shouldn't, or it maybe should have been the Cornell. We should not have had the 3rd game between these 2 teams in the quarterfinals. It just wasn't. It was the one thing with the bracket we mentioned going in. Was like,
well, I think it's more so blaming it on the big issue was overranking Virginia more than anything else.
Yeah.
Yes, but I mean, it set a domino effect in that led us to this point where it was like, I don't think we needed to see a 3rd game from these teams. I think that was borne out. It was a weird game. Cuse in the end made enough plays to win the game, and Cuse outplayed Carolina more than Cuse was sloppy, and that was enough to be the difference and the goalie play, the goalie in the faceoffs. Throw in the specialty areas with Mullen and McCool. The in between the in the half courts, Cuse was more efficient and better, and that outdid Cuse giving the ball to UNC, and kind of once Cuse was able to get shots on Good, that was kind of it.
Yeah. Can I just speak on a few things just because I missed the top of it because I was talking to Brian Higgins, good old Cuse friend Brian Higgins, who's now on the independent scene. I know Joey Spolina, like a lot of people are saying he's the player of the game because he's Joey Spolina, but that was a big fourth quarter. He needed that fourth quarter. I would argue, I think the bigger in terms of like 48 minutes wise or however many minutes you play in lacrosse, I guess it's 60. I can't do math. Mullen. And then the defense as a whole, and especially the second half. And I think give credit to Odearna for making that adjustment in the second half to shut down UNC's defense. Back-to-back Final Fours, Jake, as you mentioned, is big, especially for this program. Coming from someone that was there for 4 years and was part of like that senior that group where it was the first time since like the early 80s where a senior class ever went to the Final Four. That was probably the worst game against Towson, mind you. So good job, Jake. Fuck Joe Sider. That was probably
the Roa. I was thinking that the Roa shot where he like piped it in. That was kind of reminiscent of the Sider one a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
The ball like died on the pipe and like rolled in. That was actually the first thing that came to mind when that shot went in.
Yeah, very scintillating. But I would say like that game was probably the lowest point of my time at Cuse just because it sucked and it is so tough. I would say it's easy to get to the first round and lose because it happens to even like the MAC schools and all these schools. It is very much tough to get to the quarterfinals and lose, and you have to climb all the way back there the next year. It is so much tougher to get to championship weekend and have to climb back there. It is, and especially in this time and age in college lacrosse where there are more teams that are better off. It's a little bit more even on the playing fields. Obviously, NIL now in this portal, so there's a few things that have changed. But look, I think I think if you're Syracuse, and I get and I was talking with Brian about this, I would say right now this season would be a success, and maybe Ryan can disagree on this, but I would say if you beat Notre Dame, it's definitely a success. Obviously, if you beat whoever in the national championship game, it is 1,010% a success. And I think Joey Spallina, he is not a top 5 guy if he wins a national championship. He is not a top 10 Syracuse guy. He's a top 20 guy. But I think his legacy, and even if he doesn't win a championship this year, if they win in the next few years, his legacy is going to outweigh what he did on the field, even though he's right now the highest point guy and assist guy and goal guy, whatever, in program history, because the game has obviously evolved. So I give credit to him, but I would say where we're at right now, this is big for the program. As someone, and Ryan obviously has been around the program too, because he went to Syracuse like me. But this is so excited to be back to championship weekend, and I just feel like this program is going back upward.
Yeah, I think
top 10. I'll let Ryan go. I think top 10 is more than fair for Spallina.
Yeah,
I agree. Top 5. You got to get past every pal and the gates. That's 5.
All right, yeah, there are 3 pals.
That's 5 guys. That's 5 guys right there, and then you throw in the defensive guys, Pat McCabe,
Marechek.
I think top 10. I think top 10 is definitely fair. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think
I say top 20.
Yeah, as we were discussing, midweek about this, about disappointment versus failure. And we said, if they lose to UNC, I felt it would be more of a disappointment because they got the Final Four with that. But yeah, I know the mission is national championship or bust with this senior class. And that was what the expectation was heading into this season. But you still got to think, as we were saying, it's hard to make back-to-back Final Fours these days. Only 3 programs have done it. Penn State might join that tomorrow, but they're going to have to work their asses off to get that done against Princeton. And if anything, this is laying the foundation nicely. I know that they're going to take a step back next year, and you want to get that title because you never know when that shot's going to come again.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the foundation has been raised considerably with this senior class. Each year improving. Now we're at level ground with last year, so at worst, they end up the same way they did last year with a semifinal appearance. And look, now you got a conference rivalry game in the semifinal, so you throw some of the bets away when you got a rivalry game. I mean, I still think Notre Dame is the clear favorite in that game. But look, at this point, now you get to kind of play the underdog card a little bit because of Notre Dame's statue the past couple of years. And this is a team that beat Notre Dame twice last year, so it's not like they're going to be lacking confidence with it. So if you play loose I know they played tight today, and I know Jake was saying a lot about that. But now the weight's off a little bit against Notre Dame, I think. I think the pressure shifts to Notre Dame a bit.
Notre Dame 2.5 goal favorite, by the way, on Saturday.
How much?
2.5 goal favorite.
That seems right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going 3.5.
And then if you beat Notre Dame, then you let it ride in the title game.
I think they have to beat Notre Dame. I don't have to. I don't know if that's the right word. I don't know to any degree what, you have to do anything in lacrosse, I guess. But if you get to the championship, you can say, listen, I speak from experience here. Wheels also can echo this. Monday, you just what the hell are you going to do?
It's in God's hands.
Yeah. Maryland's made more Final Fours than anybody. And I think they're 4 for their last 18 championship game appearances. What are you going to do? The reason I say I think if they beat Notre Dame is I think this team clearly left something short when they lost to Denver in that game. They really should have made 3 straight Final Fours. If you beat Notre Dame, I think you kind of get that back and you square it off. They'd have done everything. If you leave having done everything short of winning a championship, all right, sometimes it's just not going to happen. It all depends on how they play against Notre Dame. If they go into Notre Dame and it's like last year against Maryland, yeah, that's not good. If they beat them, I think you're fine. It's the championship. Shit happens. I think that's the one that's like. I still think the pressure is going to be on them because they've put the pressure on themselves, which is fine. Like, if you do that and you win, hell yeah. I think it's good to put that pressure. I don't nothing. They've put the pressure on themselves to where they stated what their goal is, and they not just what the goal is, what the expectation was. And so I think the pressure doesn't going to be on them. Notre Dame's won so many big games at this point that like, it's just kind of what they do at this juncture. But I think Chris's point about the quarterfinals, this round, we put a lot into this round for for all these reasons. When you lose it, like,
this was the boogeyman round for 10 years for Syracuse.
Yep.
It's the boogeyman. If you're one of these programs and you're not making the Final Four, it's usually because you're losing in this round. As I'm going to get to it for Hopkins fans, hide yours in a minute because I'm about to plug the stat. It's not pretty, but for Cuse, from 2010 through 2024, Syracuse was 1-5 in the quarterfinals.
Yeah,
there you go. Notre Dame, who we're about to mention, has made 3 of the last 4 Final Fours. Before that, they hadn't made a Final Four since 2015. Why? They'd lost 4 straight quarterfinal games. It's the round that it's where the rubber meets the road, and there's a reason why we put in all college sports really. You put such a premium on making the Final Four. It's kind of just I know some programs don't hang banners for making Final Fours, but really
many do. Many others do. Yeah. It's like 3 that don't. Everybody else is like, this is one of the greatest achievements this program's ever had. Rutgers, like that.
Yeah, I don't know. So
some programs will put a number on a sign on a board. Like UNC or Duke will put a number on it. Princeton will put a number on it. I think Notre Dame might. But then there's programs like Syracuse and Hopkins where if it's not a title.
Yeah, it's like the Canadians. We don't hang bangers for cup final appearances or division titles. Yeah, only for cup titles. And
the gulf between losing this game and making it's like being in the permanent underclass or like being a founder for like Anthropic. You know what I mean? Like it's just because that weekend, as we always talk about, goes so fast. I mean, Chris, remember us going to Final Four, like the entire thing, like it just kind of goes in a blur. So like the teams that lose on Saturday, you kind of, a little bit get forgot to history, but not as much as the team lose on Monday, obviously. So like even on that weekend is really just the winner of the, Memorial Day weekend kind of gets remembered. But like just making the Final Four is just a major accomplishment for so many people, and then just to consistently lose on this round. Warren, for him, like. I would love to see like the post game, like if the Georgetown wins, like it's gonna be up there with like Shea's.
He's
like,
gonna cry. He's gonna cry.
It's gonna be even better.
I'll tell you right now.
He hugged. Oh, but you remember?
He's going to openly weep.
Yeah,
I promise you. I was there when they lost.
Zach Geddes. That's like my one favorite moment. Like if he wins tomorrow, like it's good. That's gonna whatever's gonna be on TV is gonna top that. Like it's gonna be great. But yeah, because of like repeatedly failing in the program itself, like if you kind of extend it to the Uric years, like the quarterfinal, what's that now? Like 14 in a row, Jake? For
the last
15 in a row?
Last made a Final Four 99.
Yeah, it's like
Uric goes like 0-8, like Warren's like now, like essentially what 0-5.
When you go past Uric lost 6 straight quarterfinals, 7 out of 8, and Warren has lost 4 out of 5, so that's 11. And the best example is like the 2 programs right now who have a clearly hard ceiling set on them are Penn State and Georgetown. Penn State because they have lost 3 Final Fours in the past how many years, and Georgetown because they've lost 4 out of 5 quarterfinals. No one really talks about Penn State having a ceiling on them. It's like, man, Penn State's back in the Final Four. This is awesome because once you lose in the Final Four, it's not really regarded as like now if you lose in the championship game, that's a little different. Again, I speak from experience. But in fact, honestly, it's like losing the quarterfinal, terrible. Losing the championship game, terrible. Losing in the Final Four, you actually picked a nice little spot. Everyone forgets.
Yeah. It's Mondays, the games turn around 48 hours. The next one, yeah, absolutely.
Gotta forget. I don't think they'll forget if Cuse does, but like nonetheless.
And the week post quarterfinals to the Final Four, I mean, it's just like laurels will just be thrown everywhere. You're just like coming home like a conquering hero, like all the press, like. yeah, and then the actual weekend, it just goes so fast. But it's going to be great TV if Warren makes it. I think, that the post-game press conference. So, interview they did.
And if you guys think this is great television, smash that like button.
Yes.
Hit subscribe.
Just two more things just going off of that. Like, I think Notre Dame has the experience. I know they haven't made like an ACC championship or a Final Four, obviously this year or last year, and they have the championship weekend experience and probably the ACC tournament experience. Cuse, I know it's different. Cuse has a little bit winning the ACC last year, so that Friday to Sunday, granted Saturday and Monday, I think that would help a little bit for Cuse going forward. Second, I think the biggest thing for Cuse and for anyone that goes to the Final Four, you get one more week with your boys. And for that's awesome. And I know those guys in the locker room are so happy to spend one more week with everybody because that's like the other thing too. You leave. Like you will get if you win a national championship, you are brothers forever. And I know that from a state championship aspect because I'm still buddies with my boys and we just got Hall of Athletics, like brag, I'm a Hall of Famer for some reason as a manager in my high school, peaked in high school, can confirm.
I think it was more the NHL and TNT stuff that got into the topic.
Maybe that. But that win, that's like the added benefit. And I know that's that bus ride. I know the guy, I feel like if any of the Cuse guys are listening, they're probably not. They're probably watching some Dumb and Dumber movie or something like that. But that bus ride back is going to feel so great. But I feel like they're also going to be dialed in for So all right.
I can't. Bresci's face is just so it elevates all of Carolina's things. It's there's just so many Bresci faces where you just clear. Look, he couldn't challenge it, so it's and I still don't but it's his face just when you it's just so funny. He has just the worst face for the kind of losses that Carolina has. It's just he just has that I don't. Did I leave the stove on? Look, it just.
Also, yes, I got more merch. Every time I go to a quarterfinal Hofstra that Syracuse didn't get merch. They're 3-0 when I go to Cuse quarterfinals at Hofstra. So
hell yeah,
it's a long sleeve team. They had the same design as last year's short sleeve tees, and it's a lot of the same teams. So it's I guess I'll go with the long sleeve one.
Maybe you got it now. It might never happen again. This.
Well, I mean, now I can forever cherish, and this is our segue, a day where I got to see Syracuse go to another Final Four, and I got to watch Hopkins lose as a hater.
Yeah, suck it, Steve. Respectfully.
There's our segue to not as sloppy of a game, but still very slippery.
Dude, the turf thing.
As for Stichico.
Hofstra.
The first half was everything we were talking about, in the preview, Jake. I remember, if it's kind of stays with it, keep Notre Dame, make them uncomfortable. That was our big thing. I thought Hopkins did that great in the first quarter. Sorry, 6 overs by Notre Dame. I think maybe the turf, getting accustomed to that probably contributed to that great. But I thought the way Hopkins was able to respond and keep up with Notre Dame and up through the first half, it was definitely you couldn't ask for a better first 30 minutes if you're a Jays fan. That's the kind of where you wanted to kind of a close game. It took a little bit for time to get scoring, but second half it's kind of got a little loose. I don't think they were playing horribly. Just Notre Dame just kind of kept making those plays and just a little bit crisper. And Jays had opportunities, but just didn't think just the punch that we needed to with a team like Notre Dame. And they just kind of was able to find that extra gear. And we were kind of talking about all of us. I think I had the opinion of the Hopkins' best chance was this 11-10 game or first to 10 type game or something like that. Once Notre Dame kind of got really loose in that second half, especially the first part of the third quarter, just kind of got away from the Jays and said maybe I'll kick their covers in terms of where at the beginning of the season many people put Hopkins, outside of top 10.
How many
top 20.
people on this podcast thought they were going to make the quarterfinals this year?
Not like it's a pleasant surprise. Like, and there's like the testament to Milliman, like its ability to really kind of make this program and have the kids like buy into it. Beating Cornell, the defending champion at Cornell, like can't like just like hand wave that away. It was a great game, great moments. Something to remember. Now, 3 out of 4 years, quarterfinals. It's the programs like Maryland and Cuse, quarterfinals are not the goal at Hopkins, but it's definitely like a voter, not voter comp, but like but another node in the right direction for the program. Post Petro years, and like Milton was able to kind of like reverse the downward trend that the program had. So can't like throw the baby out with the bathwater. Obviously, like it would have been stupendous if Hopkins beat Notre Dame, but given the fact that it's even despite how well they've been playing, and thought like maybe Orange just didn't have a great game. Had a couple key saves at times, but like kind of maybe wasn't seeing the ball as great, and kind of Jake, in the DMs and some posts like kind of like low angle shots were kind of maybe his kryptonite. But like I said, like think that this is a program in the right direction. Like the kids, I feel like they're much more they're cleaner. I don't see like a lot of the errors you kind of saw with like the bad Hopkins seasons, or like really bad losses, failing clears, not being able to just even pass to each other and stuff crisply. But so I feel like good, and I think we were good hands with Pete. I think eventually like you'll break through, maybe 2024, which you really saw, but like 3 quarterfinals lives into a 2023 Notre Dame team. Then the 2024 what happened with Virginia. Then might be this game. It's understandable. Let's see some different result, but like looking forward for the 2027. Just didn't have enough juice today.
Once they lost, I mean, losing Kilrain was tough enough. Once you lost to Chico, that's your best. It's your second. One, that's your captain in Kilrain. It's your second or third best pole. And then it's your best short stick DMD. Like that was about it. Jelinas was up and down, and I think he made some crazy saves. He made one crazy save at the end of the third quarter, but this team kind of rode off his energy, and I think it's odd. There was a line in the IL when IL did the like anonymous coaching thing, where one coach mentioned that he thought Jelinas had like gotten too far into like the gimmick a little bit. You see, he was basically he was like he's living the gimmick too much. He thinks it's a shoot, and I thought that was kind of interesting. I think more so, I just think he's a goalie with some flaws that played in a Big Ten that's not very good offensively, and I think he got really confident for like the Rutgers game was the best example. He made like 20 saves because Rutgers doesn't know how to shoot outside of like the left, like the middle of the goal. Like so I just I think that did hurt them. Like Hopkins wasn't going to make a Final Four if he didn't play the way we thought he maybe could have. And in their last 4 games, he was well below 50% across the board. So that just sunk it. Notre Dame's just we talk about it. Notre Dame is not going to beat themselves, and Hopkins had to play pretty much perfect if they were going to win this game. And for the first half, they basically did that. They scored 2 goals late in the first quarter and the second quarter. I thought their second midfield played really well. I thought they were executing on offense, their game plan. To me, I tweeted at halftime, the goal for them had to be to get it close, 1 goal game or so late in the third quarter, and then start to take your chances. I thought you could argue they should have taken more chances in this game, but it's also like when you're down by 3 or 4 goals already, you're kind of just stuck between a rock and a hard place. And Notre Dame clearly figured it out. I just think, to me, the big difference in this game for Notre Dame was Josh Diego. If Josh Diego plays like this, Notre Dame can win the national championship. Which I know sounds crazy for like a Final Four team, but it's like there's clearly was a ceiling on this offense the way they've played for the majority of the season. They so much runs through the midfield. And their midfield's really good. Jeffrey and those guys, they got athletes, they got speed. They can, they run. It's very basic on what they run, the pairs offense, but they run it really well because they're just deep and they're athletic from the midfield. And they come at you and they come at you. But if Diego's going to put up 4 goals and 2 assists, all of a sudden they got a different element there, and he was clearly the difference maker. They played him above the goal, and still Notre Dame kind of didn't really have a behind the goal presence, but moving him around and getting him in different spots, I thought was really effective. When he plays, we'll see. I mean, this was the best game of his career. If he plays like this, then this is a team that can win 2 more games next weekend. I thought that was the big difference in it. They don't beat themselves, and once Hopkins, got too many injuries into count, and then Notre Dame started to exert itself at the face-off dot in that second half as well. And once they start to tilt the possessions, that was pretty much it. It's a shame because this was a really good game in the first half. First half was the best lacrosse we saw today, but the second half just got going downhill. And when Notre Dame does that to you, that's pretty much it.
I look at the middle 2 frames quickly. Just I think Hopkins was pretty much good in the first quarter, but those second and third quarters, just running off some stats. Total shots, 26-10 Notre Dame. Shots on goal, 16-5 Notre Dame. Turnovers, 9-4 Hopkins. Ground balls, again, Jake, you mentioned faceoffs, 20-8 Notre Dame. Faceoffs were 9-5 Notre Dame.
So that's plus 8 extra ground balls.
Yeah. There you go.
Just on that Jelana's point, Jake, because I remember reading that and I kind of raised an eyebrow at that line. Here's the full line. Here's an unpopular opinion. I think he has an alter ego, which everyone has talked about, but I think it's become his thing. And I wonder at times if he's more concerned about being loosey-goosey and free-flowing and whatever than actually being engaged in the game. And that's an unpopular take. But just watching him the other night, the sweatpants, the music, whatever it is, I just get the feel that he's easily distracted at times. A little harsh.
I don't know how much of that's the case. Like, it's not like he makes any mistakes, like in the clear or anything like that, which is where you'd show up if you were not. I just think he's not a great goalie. Like, I think he's a good goalie who, and listen, I've been guilty of it too. I thought when I was at the game at Homewood where he played incredible. And I was like, man, that guy can go to the Final Four with that guy.
I thought we had a Final Four goalie. I remember seeing that after the Rutgers. We may have lost the game.
And it's like the Rutgers game is the best example. It's like in the Big Ten when there's one team in the Big Ten who plays really good offense. And it's like it's a good thing. Look at both Penn State games. He played 3 bad halves out of 4 in the Big Ten. He was bad in the first half against Penn State too. The Big Ten has a lot of offenses that shoot the ball like right into your stick. There's not a lot of great. Maryland doesn't shoot the ball well. Rutgers doesn't shoot the ball well. Ohio State doesn't shoot the ball well. Michigan sometimes, it's like
if they're playing Maryland.
So I think there's a reason Hopkins will have a goalie competition again next year, and it's because he kind of left the door open going into it. Yeah, the shot differential in part is that Hopkins plays deliberately very, very slow. I think it made sense for a lot of it. You saw what Notre Dame was able to do when they were able to get going in transition. I don't think Milliman is wrong. Look, you saw the Cornell game. That was the best game they played all year, and it worked. Do I think there were more opportunities for them to play push? Yes. I think by the time it happened, they were already losing, so like by 3 or 4. So it's there's that. Their offense is just they're in a tough spot. You can kind of play right now. You see teams in this tournament. Teams play offense one of 2 ways. Syracuse is one of the few teams who has a true ex-attackman in Splina, and you can build your offense around him, and you can run a lot of motion stuff and a lot of off-ball cuts and a lot of hang-ups and deception, things like that. Or if you don't really have an X guy, you do what Notre Dame does, and you just run a bunch of pairs and a bunch of high wing picks, and you just throw a bunch of That's what Penn State does. Just throw an avalanche of midfielders at teams and say, we're going to body blow you and wear you down. And Hopkins is like caught in between the fact that Charlie Eiler is their X guy, and he did play well today. He had a couple moments. Is their X guy, and he was the least productive guy in the offense. And then their midfield was the strength of the team, but they weren't super deep at midfield. Their second midfield did play well, I thought, today, and it had moments late in the season. but they were taking parts of both. Like they play a little bit of X, they motion offense, they play a little bit of a lot of the picks and things like that. You really need to live in one lane. And Notre Dame clearly lived in one lane today with what they were able to do with their midfield dodgers, and then also bringing Diego up top and getting him a bunch of good looks. And Notre Dame just had good looks all game. Sometimes they didn't go in. That's part of their thing. We talked about it. They shoot 30%. But once Notre Dame started hitting their shots, it was like, yeah, as Chris mentions it, it was what we mentioned the last time these two teams played in the quarterfinals. Hopkins won more of the faceoffs, and Notre Dame had like 14, 15 more shots. It's like, you have to. I mentioned this last year when Maryland played Notre Dame. You just have to take risks against Notre Dame. You're not going to beat Notre Dame playing like Notre Dame. And Will's point is, I think it's 100% on the money. They are the deepest team in the country. Go look. Their roster is like, it's just, they have dudes who are 4 or 5 star recruits who are playing like their 5th year on their they've been running a third midfield for like 3 years. Like Seymour and Finley and those dudes, these guys they never graduate. They're there forever. And they're experienced, and they just go at you in waves. And if you don't have the talent to really match up with them, you got to do something different, because they are so deep, and they are so athletic, and they come at you and it's an avalanche.
Yeah, and I think the way Notre Dame has looked these 2 weeks, I think might be a bit premature declaring Princeton-Penn State the real national title game tomorrow, because Notre Dame looks real good these past 2 weeks, and especially on the defensive end. The amount of shot clock violations, now I know that's also part and due that Hopkins plays at a little bit more of a deliberate pace, but the amount of shot clock violations they were able to force, right off the bat, too. This is right from the word go. Forcing offenses to run out the full 80 seconds with no good opportunities. If that defense is playing that button down, that's going to be scary going forward.
It is.
Now, I know it's going to be an increase in competition with Syracuse and then potentially Princeton or Penn State, but they've got the confidence for sure, and the offense is coming along with it.
It's Penn State or Princeton. I still wonder if there's something in that Virginia game. Virginia is the best offense they've played by a good amount, I think. And I wonder if there's something in that Virginia thing. Like Princeton or Penn State is the closest thing to Virginia they'll see offensively. Even Cuse. I mean, Cuse did score on them in that first. The Cuse thing is fascinating because I thought Cuse had something for Notre Dame in the last year with the way they played them last year. I thought they really had something with that matchup. But so I'm curious in this game on Saturday if
because it's not gonna be at Arlada.
Yeah,
I think that kind of carried a little thing. Cuse ran out of gas a little bit in that fourth quarter, but I think it's the aura of Arlada definitely played a role with it. Yeah. Now you're putting it in Charlottesville, and you saw what Syracuse did with Notre Dame whenever it was either home or, more importantly, neutral site last year.
Yeah, I really thought Cuse had figured out. I think specialty areas is a big part of that. Mullen, Cuse, that was right in the midst of Mullen's slide. Notre Dame won 18 of 31 faceoffs in that game. That was a big. That was a big. Yep. So if Notre Dame's going to win faceoffs, they're going to be tough to beat. So I'm intrigued to see. Listen, Notre Dame could definitely do it. It's the Diego thing I think was massive. If he's gonna play like this, they have a different ceiling offensively, and the question we've had for them all year is offense. If teams can kind of, I do think there were things for Hopkins that they figured out. I thought Hopkins offensively in the first half did play really well. They got good looks. Whenever Collison was able to get a switch on a shorty, Notre Dame was really quick to slide there. And I do look at Princeton with Tucker Wade. Maybe if they can get Palumbo up top more. Penn State's got a bunch of midfielders. I don't know if they have one guy. I mean, Aquino dodges a bunch from up top. We saw Penn State last year. The way with Trainer was able to dodge. So Let's save one solo for a sec. Let's just save space.
So you might know your shit.
You went like solo camera on this for a second.
Oh no, I was making sure I didn't like hit end because I was texting at my mom's calling, and I was like, don't end the live stream, just go for. But then if you don't click the right way, it'll like expand. So, but yeah, dude, I got to real quick there, get my mom back. But I'll be on tomorrow.
Yeah, we're finishing up. Yeah.
Great show, boys. Ryan, Chris, congrats.
Thank you.
Good luck against next week. Take care, boys.
See y'all.
I think Princeton or Penn State. I think the winner of Princeton and Penn State is going to beat Duke or Georgetown by 5-6 goals. I think is the winner of that game going to win? Listen, I believe the winner of that game will win the championship. Am I as certain about it after seeing Notre Dame today? No. I think if you were to stack most likely to win, I would go Tier 1A Princeton Penn State, Tier 1B Notre Dame, Tier 2 Cuse, and then it's a big step down to like Tier 3 with Georgetown and Duke. I don't know if I can see Georgetown or Duke winning 3 more games against the teams left that they're going to have to beat. I don't think I see that. So
yeah, good luck to. I think tomorrow Georgetown wins, and like Jake, as you mentioned, I still think Notre Dame has a really good shot to win this all. Like the winner of Penn State Princeton might be the most exciting.
This will be a big factor. Is that the Cuse Notre Dame game is definitely going to be the second.
Yeah, and
without a doubt.
Yeah, and Princeton Penn State winner versus Duke Georgetown winner is probably going to not be as much of a
draw.
As much of a energy sapper either.
Yeah. I mean, Notre Dame did win their first championship playing in the second. It's become less of a, what is it this decade? It's 2. It's Maryland won in 22 and Notre Dame won in 23. So it's not as, I mean, it's a factor for sure. We always talk about it. Maybe not as much of late, but how hot's it going to be next week?
I don't know, because I know up here it's going to be cooler. Let me see Charlottesville, VA weather.
I know I have Raleigh is next Saturday.
So it's going to be rainy and 56 next Saturday.
I mean, shit, that's, that plays into it. Good. It looks like it's going to rain it's saying rain for like the next Wednesday through Monday. We'll see.
Oh my God.
I mean, it's late. It's mid to late May, so it can change but yeah, that's
Syracuse is going to be like, what the hell is this? It's coming down because they always play indoors. It's like, can we play indoors? Like, can we have like a tarp over this place?
So I'm just going to get up. Weather Channel says, because that's what Google said. Yeah, Weather Channel has it a little bit warmer, 66 with showers. So probably
it doesn't matter.
Washout.
No.
Then 74 scattered storms on Memorial Day.
Oh God.
Wow.
We should push the season back. This is great.
So Jake, how are we going to be? How quick are we going to be to the true Charlottesville's never been attempted trigger like we have in Starford? If it's
everything that keeps getting added makes me more and more pessimistic. It's like gas is $5 a gallon. It's going to rain. There's no Virginia. I was at like 27,000. I might be down to like 25. It's terrible, dude. We're never going to escape Foxborough.
Foxborough and Philly and nowhere unless it's a World Cup.
85 and sunny in Newark.
Newark, baby. Newark, baby.
It was nice. Yeah, it was nice.
Penn State and Princeton are going to be playing like dudes are going to be keeling over by the end of that game. There's going to be like 100 possessions.
Will be at least one cramped timeout. But it was nice today. Nice and comfortable. A little bit of a breeze to make it not too hot here here on the island.
Except if you were on the shitty turf, then it was probably
yes.
You're slipping around, you're breaking a wrist, and you were sweating.
10,200.
Never.
It was the best. It was the best quarterfinal attendance at Hofstra since the Albany Notre Dame won in 2014. So, listen, I think we talked about this on Thursday on the live show. It's like, why are these quarterfinals always played in these spots? It's like, I'll tell you, because there were 10,000 people there today. There were 20,000 people there in Annapolis last year. There were 8,000 in Hofstra last year. Like, the attendance numbers the past couple of years have been gigantic. And why? Because it's, this is it. These are the locations that make sense for these. And you got good draws. Syracuse there obviously is a big help. Delaware should be good. Delaware's drawn some good.
Yeah, it should be decent because you got Princeton's not a long ride. Penn State, the Penn State alumni base is right there too, so that should be solid for that one.
I feel like there should be like Hofstra, Navy. We'll see. I think Delaware. When was the last time Delaware was it? Was it 2017 Delaware?
It was Delaware 2017. It was 2017. It was
2000 in Maryland, Albany. That was not bad.
It drew 9,711. Pretty good.
Yeah, only thing with Delaware is the X factor is they don't have any Maryland schools right there. Usually they benefit from having a Maryland or a Hopkins or a Loyola playing there.
You get tax-free shopping, so kudos to them. Only good thing about Delaware. Yeah. And Joe Biden.
Going to be a second week in a row where there's a conflict between NASCAR and college lacrosse because of NASCAR's terrible schedule this year. They had the All-Star race at Dover the same day as the quarterfinals in Newark.
Wait. The All-Star race?
Yes, the All-Star race is in Dover tomorrow.
But that's, first of all, that being in Dover is wild. This, I feel like it's like usually later in the season because it's mid-May.
Yeah, it's kind of that they're trying to kill off Dover from the schedule. That's really what it comes down to. They don't have a points race this year.
Freaking Hogan tweet, dude, it's just Pressie's face is just.
You went back?
No, I switched over to my personal. I can't get into Twitter for some reason. I haven't been able to post.
Good job, Bill.
But I switched over to my personal one, and it came up in the For You page.
So for what it's worth, with the future quarterfinals, next year's Annapolis and Providence
at Brown's football stadium.
Yep, the return. Brown Stadium. Brown Stadium, Chris's favorite venue.
That place sucks. Sorry, old ass bleachers. The field sucks. Like, don't stop going there. Go like somewhere else. Go to like where the PLL's playing. At least it looks nice.
Where's the PLL playing? Oh, Pawtucket.
They're playing in Pawtucket tonight. This weekend.
How many stadiums? How many seats is that?
I don't know. Is that where the Pawtucket Red Sox used to play, but then they moved the team to Lowell?
Maybe.
Pawtucket. It's Centerville Bank Stadium. Is that what it says?
Anyway, so that's next year, and then 2028 it'll be back at Hofstra, and and Richmond
not
gets
that bad.
hosted.
10,000
Stadium
in Pawtucket, by the way. That's where the Rhode Island FC of the USL play.
Yeah, it's not bad. That's still not bad.
It's better than freaking. What were the other two, Ryan, that you were mentioning after next year?
So after next year, then it's back to Hofstra. So Hofstra gets a 1 year break, and then Richmond, which will be fun because Robbins is.
That's good.
I think we need to give Stony Brook. a try.
Give Stony Brook a shot. Yeah, because the Long Island crowd shows up, but Stony Brook also knows how to manage their facility.
Especially
also, what are they going to do? Yeah, exactly. If Stewart, when they're going to demolish Stewart.
Yeah, because Stewart's on it. That's why I'm surprised they installed new turf, because Stewart's lifespan is only going to be like the next 5 years or so before they build the campus apartment complex there. They're going to move the lacrosse stadium to one of the fields on the north end of campus, but it's not going to be as big unless that's like the. I mean, I don't laugh, but LIU Post would actually. I was there for Cornell.
Dog, I gotta.
That's
really all right. Here we go. From April 17th.
So Bethpage Federal Credit Union Stadium has it's only 6,000 though.
James M. Stewart Stadium, one of Hofstra's most prominent athletic venues, home to the Pride's men's and women's lacrosse programs, is now outfitted.
I will say to Chris though, their basketball arena is nice. The MAC's nice.
Now outfitted with 10K pivot performance turf, making Hofstra the first Division I university in New York State to adopt the next generation synthetic turf technology, developed through extensive biomechanical research and athlete-centered testing. Engineered to replicate the cleat release, feel, and playability of high-quality natural grass, for sure.
I don't know, slipperier than normal field turf.
Without a broken wrist from Reese to Checo. Great.
System's extended life cycle and 12-year warranty, 50% longer than the industry standard.
12-year warranty.
A more
Definitely important for
environmentally conscious surface solution.
Well, I mean, they've been talking about the past 15 years about cancer rates rising near high school stadiums that have been installing these field turf systems. So
there you go. That came in a month. That came in a month ago. They put the turf in a month ago. Unbelievable.
That's insane. It's just wild that you do it. And I guess the NCAA doesn't really have a say in this. It's and then be like, why are you doing this? It's because we can. And they're like, okay.
You cannot go back.
I'm surprised. Well, that's the thing. I'm surprised. Maybe it's a case of Stony Brook not bidding on it, or I don't know if it's that or if it's Hofstra boxing them out. But Lavelle hosted the D1 Women's Lacrosse National Championship for a hot minute in the 2010s. It's a nice stadium. I know Hofstra is nice and centrally located, but if Hofstra is going to do this, then
probably not. We'll see.
I mean, it's not going to matter. They're going to still give it to Yeah.
Anything I don't know if you guys discussed it because I wasn't on Thursday for obvious reasons because hockey. SMU.
We talked about it. Yeah,
we've talked about it. Yeah.
So I don't know what you guys. I don't know what you guys have said. I've heard it's happening. I've heard late summer announcement. I have heard head coach hire in the fall. I have heard 2028 start.
Ooh.
I feel like
bomb.
Kevin Cassis or Jesse Bernhardt could be the guys that are might get some steam early. We'll see. But that's all I've heard. And I think the fact that obviously we're talking about it because we know ball, but IL and USA, the other outlets have not talked about this. To me, just seems very wild. Also, if you're SMU, why don't you announce it during championship weekend? ACC school, you're at an ACC school. Somehow ACC noted Coastal Conference member, SMU on the coast of the Gulf of America, kind of. Announce it there. Make a big splash about it if you're SMU. Don't wait till late fall or late summer. It's August, and we completely forgot that this is a thing. It's we're getting lacrosse. Oh, okay, great.
I think it's all about putting this thing together. Is so many dotting I's and crossing T's.
Yeah.
So I mean, if they could do it, then that'd be awesome. But I think that's probably why nobody else has kind of jumped in yet. It's just a very I think it's going to happen. I agree. I think the names you mentioned make sense. I would probably lean Cassis, perhaps. Mike Pressler coaches at Highland Park in Dallas. I wonder how maybe involved he's been in this. Cassis obviously played for Mike Pressler. Jesse Barnard would make sense. The problem is, as Wheels mentions, is that Damon Evans' approval rating at the University of Maryland is lower than the Earth's crust. The Earth. You went there.
I
tried.
I mean, not to be political, but it is numbers.
Fit it in the Earth. It's lower than the Earth's crust. I think those do make some sense. SMU, obviously, as we mentioned, they got money to throw around. That's why this is happening, or if it happens. So we'll have to wait and see. When was Utah from leak to announced? Was that 18 months or was that 2 years?
Was the leak 2016? The
I
weird
want to
network RIP or as in rest in piss. 2016 July. That hey, they're gonna blah blah blah.
I think
well, actually, it's not happening, but they're gonna.
I want to say it was summer of 2017. I think that's when it was. I think it was summer 2017.
It was, it was 2016 because I remember I was working at Philly Mag Birds 24/7. That can be RIP. It shut down in 2017. And then I think maybe a few months later or a year later they actually announced it for 2019 start. And then Allison's well, we were first to report it. It's no, really. But yeah, I think 2016 was the leak, but when the official announcement came, might have been I think it was the next summer in 17.
Yes, Utah. Here's a good. August 8th, 2016, Utah. We are not adding lacrosse. They wound up adding lacrosse. Here we go. This was November 2016. Utah hopes to have a D1 program by the 2019 season. There you go.
And they did.
So Utah. So then Utah would have been 2.5 years. So maybe 2028 a little hasty, maybe.
Like if this announcement happens and they literally have like, hey, they're doing bang bang. We're announcing we have a program and we're announcing a head coach at this time, which would be wild. And I don't know how that would not leak. Period.
Damon.
Damon
Evans was like basically just like, I mean, he kind of gave up the deal when he was asked about it. I think it's hard because like Utah also was independent. SMU jumping right into the ACC off the bat. I think
we'll see.
I think
Clemson went right to the ACC and they kind of flourished a little bit, but I think geography is going to be interesting with Dallas in that area.
The good news is you have DFW right there for flights. So
Michigan took like 7 years to really be what I would qualify as like good, like in like top 25 team.
Yeah.
By like 2018, they were a top 25 team. I think SMU could maybe turn that to like 5 or 6. It took Michigan 12 years to make the tournament. I would say if you're SMU, the target is make the tournament within maybe 10 years.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard, man. It's going to be like ACC is just, I think it's possible. The money they have, the transfer portal is definitely a big factor in this too. It's like there wasn't a transfer portal when Utah or Michigan were, not to this degree,
or
Utah
NIL.
and Michigan were starting. NIL, that's definitely a big piece. It's all about how can they leverage lacrosse recruiting is about a lot of things. It's about, obviously, NIL is a big piece now. It's about leveraging these guys' careers into Wall Street and this stuff at these premium universities. To what degree can SMU leverage Dallas because they're far away from everything else. Notre Dame has a bunch of ties in with New York and all that. All these other schools, it's like just come here and we get you to Wall Street and that. SMU's in a different landscape. Can they harness what Dallas and maybe in Houston and that too, and like all those areas? It's a lot different. It's different careers down there to the usual lacrosse player. We'll have to see. It's incredibly interesting and exciting. So I think they could be good pretty like reasonably quicker than Michigan was, I think. But
yes.
I do think it would take I still think it would take over 5 years before they make like a tournament or anything like that.
I'm curious too, like if this happens, and I believe it will, what that'll mean for other schools around that Southwest and I think especially Southeast area of the country. Like now there's another school that has it in a different-ish region. It's going to make it – granted, it's also an ACC school, but I also wonder – I don't know if you guys have seen like I think Ross Ellinger reported some of these like potential changes in the NCAA, and again, potential, and no one knows what's happening in the NCAA. They could forego like make conferences in like non-rev Olympic sports outside of like the ACC, like outside of your normal conferences. So maybe there is like SMU, a Utah, a Denver, an Air Force in one conference that helps geographically. I don't know if that might help. We also got obviously the soccer announcement where they're going to go fall and spring, which to me it just feels ridiculous with soccer because we've seen a lot of these SIDs like comment of how it's going to be brutal for them. They're already shrinking for all these schools, and you're going to have now one person do a fall and a spring, and it's going to fuck up the spring, and they might also be doing a winter sport, and it's another spring sport after the winter, and it's like, what are we doing here? Like, this could backfire on soccer. And
well, soccer is also the sport that's talking about breaking away from the NCAA. So I wonder if this is the last.
Yeah, I mean,
the last bullet in the chamber before
hockey is talk. I've heard hockey mention,
and
that.
Hockey has been mentioning that too. Because I mean, the NCAA, we know the worst tournament they run is the hockey tournament.
Yeah,
all of this is reason for why this is why I was very down Thursday. I'm like, I'm not going to get like, oh man, Baylor's going to be next, or TCU, or I don't know, some SEC. I think for all of these reasons, you need money. Like, and some of these Texas schools have it. You know, like, so maybe it could, but it's just, you need a lot of things to really align here. And it seems like it's aligned for SMU. I think it's difficult to see it happening. But maybe, like, and nonetheless, SMU itself adding it is a big deal. And so we'll see what goes. I agree. I think it's going to happen. I don't know if 2028 feels like they have to get that out, like, in the next 6 to 8 weeks. So
yep,
we'll see. All right, I think we covered everything. Smash
Jake,
that
were
like
you gonna
button.
ask me something before Chris? Before you went with Chris went with the SMU?
Was I? I don't remember.
I don't know. Were you gonna ask me about like the environment at Hofstra or anything like that?
Oh no, I don't think so. It seemed good.
No, it was a very good atmosphere today.
Right.
Thankfully, the Hopkins band didn't show up. They were stuck in traffic. I didn't have to hear the worst.
That's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. That's Brian. You can't diss the band. That's uncalled for. That's uncouth. That's low from you. I'm taking you off the screen for.
Oh,
you can't diss the band, man. The band showed up for the Robert Morris game in like 15-degree weather.
that is true.
Impact of the LIRR strike. It is what it is.
LIRR strike. LIRR strike. The turf. The freaking turf. Unbelievable.
LIRR strike actually would have played a bigger role if the game was at Stony Brook, because the LIRR station is within like a quarter-mile walking distance of the stadium.
All right, we'll be back tomorrow. Penn State, Princeton, big game. Georgetown, Duke. We'll see how many people are left over for Georgetown, Duke by the end.
Watch that be the overtime thriller of the weekend.
Yeah, probably. I think it's gonna be a good game. I do. Should be good games tomorrow. We will be back live whenever those are done to break down those two games. Our Final Four field will be set. Smash the like button. Tell your friends to subscribe. Subscribe if you haven't already. We'll be back midweek with a Final Four preview show. And I think that's everything.
Go Sabres.
All right. Stay hydrated.
Good. Thanks for watching, everyone. Smash the like button.
Thanks, Mr. President. Enjoy this outro.
Ford, Honda, Chevy, Beamers, and minivans, over 600 cars, trucks, SUVs. Are you listening, man? Let Eastern Motors put you in a car today. Let Eastern Motors finance it all the way.
All right, I gotta run. Gotta get somebody.
I think we ended the stream.
Oh, we didn't. All right, bye.
Now it's over.
Everybody.
Hang on.